Hello guys, Ermax here. Today we're gonna do something a little bit different. And I had the opportunity to participate to this challenge, the openSUSE Tumbleweed challenge for the last month. And the gentleman who actually had the idea to set this up is our buddy here, Vince, from GLF, which means Gaming Linux France, which is a huge community in France where a lot of French lover of Linux met together on a Discord. I know it sounds a little bit weird when I say like that, but yeah, you got it. So, Vince, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah, thank you, Max. Well, thanks for the invitation, and sorry by advance for the viewers because for me speaking in English is more difficult than use again to the Linux distribution for all day. But
Yeah.
thanks for the invitation.
Yeah, you're welcome, buddy. Yeah, like you are the one like having the ID here, and don't be worried for your accent, because I'm pretty sure all the viewers here they are used to the French touch, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah, the French.
Okay, so today we're gonna be talking obviously about the end of the challenge, and the challenge was on openSUSE Tumbleweed, which is I will call it like the rolling edge version of their distro, but also like their main distro. Like when you look at the openSUSE big like lineup of distros they have, and man, like it's the first thing I want to talk about, like, and get right into it because I made a lot of video about it. Vince there too, like made a lot of video in French. You can go on this channel. It's on YouTube. I'm gonna put a link in the description below. But the first thing I really want to talk about is really the vision of openSUSE, which is a little bit different of what we hear, I would say, in the normal like approach for all the other distros. So what I mean by all the other distros is like they have a more like stable release, like type of release on one hand, and they have the rolling edge type of release. And here, like openSUSE come with this idea that they have like a slow roll type of release because they're gonna end their release like stable model, and it's gonna be like a big update every month, like really controlled. And on the other hand, they have the Tumbleweed, which is rolling edge, but not, I would say, as fast as a distribution like Arch. And this was really one of the main reasons we wanted to try it. Like we heard a lot of good things about it before. Vince, if I remember, like you tried it before, like the Tumbleweed.
Yeah, I already tried the openSUSE Tumbleweed, and before it's a good experience too. What I love with openSUSE Tumbleweed for the vision and the different approach of openSUSE, like the other distribution, is the professional installation where you can feel that you have an SUSE Enterprise aura, and finally you have everywhere a little polish on accessibility for the beginner. I think it's that the overview of openSUSE Tumbleweed.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Like it's something you certainly felt on the previous installation. Like for me, it was totally new, and that's something I really liked about it. So because you mentioned that, you gave me like a good opportunity to switch to the next topic. So they have a different vision, and obviously, like when you get into it, you can see all the pro related to the distribution. And what we're gonna do, like in this video, we're gonna talk about what is really good about it, then what is a little bit less good, and we're going to share our experience together because we don't have the same hardware, we don't have the same like usage, I would say, same approach when we use our computer, even if we are both gamers. But I think it would be interesting for you guys to have a different perspective. So let's start with what is really good in openSUSE Tumbleweed. So as Vince mentioned, like the first thing is accessibility. I believe that when you install any type of distribution, right away when you arrive at the first like screen, you kind of know in what type of like environment you're gonna be. Like there is a huge difference between Arch, a Gen 2, for example, and this one. It's definitively like easy, as you mentioned, Vince. The install is like professional. Then when you arrive like inside the like the first thing you see inside the distro is nice little GUI everywhere. You have like this really pro experience. If you don't want to touch the terminal, like you will be served like this, no problem. Also, they come with like a lot of like software they develop themselves. It's called YAST. It's like a system administration, and I agree. Like for a newcomer, this is perfect. Like you don't need to have a PhD in programming, computer or whatever, like technical like aspects to actually use the distro. And I think this is really good. And the last one I want to mention is related to all the software they have. They have something called Discover, which is like some type of like software manager, and it will look like the one which is in Mint if you look at my previous video. But their approach is way more polished and also way more fresh when you look at all the different like packages they have in it, like the software. I would say they are more up to date, like crazy up to date. And you can see like they have a really well thought approach towards this. So Vince, what would you like to add on that? Because I think I cover a lot of stuff, but
yeah, I'm totally agree with what you said. For me, openSUSE have a perfect initial configuration. For me, the big fish is just after the install, Discover and Flatpak are configured. All appear simple and user-oriented. For me, it's what I have in mind, except NVIDIA driver. There is no need to add repository or others tinkering to use it in good condition, except for NVIDIA driver. But we can speak about more in the cons.
Yeah, we'll talk about it after. Like we're gonna keep the big surprise after. But yeah, I agree with you. So like from your hardware, your experience is kind of the same, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good. So accessibility is definitively a plus. Then you have like the phase I would call like the stability one. So when you call, when we talk about stability, we think about Debian, we think about those distros which are like super stable because in fact they don't have a lot of I would say update. But here, every 2 or 3 days, you're gonna have like a huge amount of updates between like 60 to 200, even 400 packets. Like I have like one update which was like 400 packages. And if you think in terms of like, how would it compared to Arch, because I come from the Arch world, I can talk about that. In Arch, you will have like new packet every 6 hours. You're gonna have something to install. Here, you're gonna have bigger gap between 24, 48 hours, sometimes even 72 hours, where nothing happens, and then boom. And this is where their vision, like their model, kind of like enter in for Tumbleweed. They have what they call like QA, I believe, which is an automatic system where they can test all the software before they're getting pushed to the public. And that's what creates a little delay between Arch and Tumbleweed. But you are a little bit late, but you are already stable. And for the last month, nothing collapsed. I tried everything. I already put my hand under the hood and nothing happened. So that would be the first thing.
And
yep, go ahead.
Sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
Even if you have a bug, a big crash after an update, during the installation, all is configured by default to have a snapshot. When you do an admin modification, like update a package, install a new app, modify your firewall, paf, a new snapshot is created automatically, and you can roll back when you want on this previous state. For me, it's amazing, very, very good feature on openSUSE Tumbleweed, and I never saw that in another distribution by default. I don't know if you already seen that, but not me.
So the other distribution who had this snapshot approach since I switched to Linux was Garuda.
Okay.
So Garuda, it's based on Arch, and they have their own like snapper tool, which look like the one actually in openSUSE. But that was the only one. Because if you install Arch, for example, I think you're gonna have all the different setting for better FS. But I'm not sure you're gonna have a GUI with all this little option you can do. Like I'm not sure it's gonna be in Arch. And yeah, that's definitively a plus.
For sure.
Yeah, because you can make mistake, and even if you're a beginner, you can come back. You don't have to reinstall. You don't have to use time shift or whatever. Like it's just included in it. So another good point there. So yeah, and the last point I want to talk about is the kernel. The kernels are super recent. They are still a little bit behind again versus Arch. But if you are a gamer, you're gonna have access to the latest. And because we're talking about gaming, let's talk about the gaming performance. So gaming performance, if you want to start, Vince, because me, like I have only good thing to say about it.
Oh, me too, as well. Your viewer don't know, but I have an AMD 6950 XT. AMD power for my GPU. And finally, I could ensure for who are watching that openSUSE perform very well on it without install any drivers. Mesa drivers are very good, and recent, well, for me, just finally perfect. I have just a modification, a variable to modify the VM max map count, max map count,
Yep.
in the kernel to ensure a perfect compatibility with Hogwarts Legacy, and for me, it's very, very good.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's a good point you mentioned that. So first is like just to recap, you had great performance, and I just have to say the same. I had great performance, and this is really good. You mentioned the issue related to the kernel and the VM map count. I think that's the thing. I'm gonna put the way to modify that via systemd, like the command line, in the description below. It's just a little command you have to set up, and then systemd is gonna load it into the kernel. But yeah, like this distro is working really well when you come to gaming. Huh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I really have nothing to add. Like this, to give you an example, if you run on Arch and you run on openSUSE, you make a benchmark, and you're gonna have exactly the same result. So you gain the stability approach of it, the I would say like noob friendly approach of it too, because you don't have to spend time into the Arch wiki to get there. The install go really fast. And on the other hand, well, you have the performance of Arch. So very good. But one point, because now we're talking about gaming, now we're gonna go towards the negative, okay? And I'm gonna make the crossover here. The only issue are the NVIDIA driver. So I kind of explained it in one of my previous video. And installing the NVIDIA driver, if you want a custom kernel, or if you are like really, really like beginner on Linux, you don't have the right reflex to go on the wiki, open the terminal, and type all those commands, well, you're gonna be in trouble. So that's the reason why I made this video where I explain how to install the driver, the easy way, the hard way. So like that, if you want to try the distro, you still have a chance to succeed if you have an NVIDIA card. But I would say that's one negative. So you on your hand, like just to confirm, you didn't have any issue, right, Vince?
Nope.
Okay.
No issue with AMD driver.
Yeah, it's ready out of the box. Outside of the VM map count, it works.
Yep.
Yeah. So again, like for the AMD fanboy,
AMD power.
Yeah. Okay, again, AMD power. I have to say, like experience out of the box better with AMD, because you don't have to install these drivers. They're already into the Mesa and the kernel, so you're good. But I just want to mention it. And also, like one other. Yeah. Sorry. Let's go.
It's not true for DaVinci Resolve, but for gaming, so it's perfect.
Okay. So we'll get there. Another point, just really quick. I heard that so we were more at the beginning of the challenge. We had another buddy called Cardiac, which tried to participate in it, but after 3 days, he just give up. And he's normally not the type of guy who will give up, but on his laptop, he just couldn't install NVIDIA. It just wouldn't work. So he had, because on top of like installing the driver, you have to make it sure you have like Prime running, and it's a little bit more complex on laptop. And he was like, no, I don't have the patience, I'm out. So he didn't do everything I actually show in my YouTube video. So you guys still have a chance if you're on NVIDIA. Maybe it was really related to his hardware, but I think it's important to mention that, guys. Like, this could be an issue. And because Vince is talking about DaVinci Resolve, this is another like little issue I had on my hand related to DaVinci Resolve, and I made a video about it too. The library in general, they are just too fresh for running DaVinci Resolve, because DaVinci Resolve like works with like a library which are a little bit older than what is provided in Tumbleweed. And yeah, it has been a problem. You have the video. I'm going to put a link below if you want to install it. When it's installed, it's done. Little bit more maintenance, but it works. So what about you, Vince? Because I know you make video too. So
yeah, for me, installing DaVinci Resolve on openSUSE Tumbleweed is very painful. Fortunately, there is only few person who really needs to use DaVinci. KDE in Live is an alternative and works very well on openSUSE. I think in my side, then if you are using DaVinci Resolve, don't use openSUSE Tumbleweed. Maybe Leap if you are a chameleon lover. I don't know if DaVinci Resolve is working better on Leap, but the install. But for me, DaVinci Resolve and Tumbleweed is a no-go.
Yeah, it was a real pain to install, and you have to redo all the manipulation when you upgrade.
Yeah.
So it's like
too much.
Yeah, it's too much, right? Like, and this is one of the other issue. And when you look at Arch, which is super complex, not super complex, but the user need to rely on the wiki, and everything is like it's more like a terminal centric type of distro, I would say. They have the community behind who can create the package build for the OR, right? So openSUSE, I didn't mention it in the vision, but they have this great tool called OBS, and it's not the recording like software we all know. It's I think it's Open Build System or Open Build Service. Thank you. I am really bad with acronyms. So Open Build Service, which is hosted by the openSUSE like server, and it's the equivalent of OR and I would say like chaotic kind of. So you can have your scripts there, and they build them for you, and you just add the repo and you download everything. But the problem is like there is not enough user to, I would say, like provide all those scripts, and that's where openSUSE like is, I think, really missing. Because if we had one dude who had the capability to create a script for the NVIDIA driver or even a GUI, and another dude to make a script for DaVinci Resolve, those problems are solved. You see, because this is what is happening on Arch. If you want to install like the complicated way, you have TKG with NVIDIA all for the NVIDIA driver. So even if you understand nothing, you just type that, boom, it's done. And for DaVinci, they have AUR. So it just does everything. So yeah, that's what we really need, I think, for the openSUSE guys. Like they need some people who are like the Arch by the way, type of proud user of Linux, and we need to create something like openSUSE by the way too, because like this is a big need they have right now.
To be honest, I don't know how many person needs this open build service DaVinci Resolve, but if we are 1,000, maybe it's useful.
Yeah, Yeah, I understand what you mean. But for the NVIDIA, think about it.
Yeah.
How helpful it would be.
Oh
Because
yeah.
NVIDIA, like there is so many people. And
I
well,
agree for NVIDIA. Yeah.
I think one of our buddy, like Davius, he asked TKG directly if we could have an NVIDIA for openSUSE. But TKG was like, no thanks. Too much work. And I understand him, right? Like it's just too much work.
But
Because
TKG make the kernel TKG compatible for openSUSE. It's already a good point.
oh yeah. No, I'm not blaming TKG. I'm with him on this one because this is maybe an issue we could talk about. Is like sometimes the way, because they have their own vision, it's really hard to adapt what already exists to openSUSE. And this is another issue, right? Because they don't have the community to support the vision. So, man, like this is, at such a tough one. So a last point I would like to talk. If you want to add something, Vince.
No, for this.
It's good on that. So last point I want to talk about is the package manager. Because we always, like there is a vision, and what really differentiates the distro is most of the time the package manager. And I'm going to talk about what I know, and it's Arch. The package manager is just incredible. It's not the easiest in terms of access compared to APG, like, Debian 1. But, man, Zipper is, in my opinion, a little bit behind compared to Arch. And there is some example. I think they have a really good documentation. But the first issue I had was a parallel download. Like on Arch, you have a system where you set up the parallel download, and you can have like 5, 10, 15, or whatever, how many downloads, which can saturate your connection. And here I couldn't find something. So maybe I'm wrong, guys. If you know solution, please write it in the comment below. And that was the first thing. And the second thing was related to the install in general. I think it was a little bit slower than the one in Arch and Pacman. So maybe I'm a little bit, like complicated, but because I spent my time inside the terminal, I thought it was lacking function to like, and I don't want to go too deep into it, but I believe it's a little bit behind. What was your experience, Vince?
From my side, I'm not agree with you, Max.
Yeah.
I can understand that you prefer Pacman over Zipper, but in my side, for a desktop user, for me, Zipper is nearly perfect. In the way I use my computer, I had no configuration to do. I have no configuration to do. That's all. Finally, to use Discover with Zipper, there is no need to configure anything.
Oh, yeah, I understand what you mean. Yeah.
Do it with Pacman. For using Snapper with BetterFS snapshot, there is also no need to configure anything. Okay, maybe Zipper is not perfect for speed, but Zipper, for me, is very comfortable out of the box, and it's why I really like it. Maybe it's openSUSE point, but for me, Zipper, it's good where I want to be, where I want to be. That Zipper is good.
Yeah. So okay, well, I respect your point of view, and I think this is what brings value to like this type of video, because you can see depending on how you use it and your experience, you can have like different outcome. Yeah. Now I can't disagree with that. I think overall, like it's still a good package manager. I just feel sometimes I want to do crazy stupid thing I can do in Arch, and I just can't do it there. That's why I'm like, For example, in Arch, if I want to list like all the packets installed, I have like one command, and it can create a file with all the packets installed. Which means like if I destroy my Arch, I reinstall it and redo a pacman with a list of packets, and I'm back on track like that. And this, I couldn't do it because I was scared I will break it, you see? I couldn't find. So maybe there is a command I didn't see, but it's, and I understand those commands is, they are
on
not.
On openSUSE, you will use a snapshot.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Yeah, no, I agree. Yep, that's right. So yeah, you see, like when we think about the cons, they are not that big. Like overall, I think our challenge was super good, because obviously, like we need to present you some, negative, but the truth is, they're not that much. They're not that big, because when you solve your issue, well, it just works. It's really stable. You have the gaming performance. You arrive with a system which is like super clean. There is no bloat. You have still the opportunity to use the GUI to administrate everything. And we were talking about it before in another podcast we were doing in French. And Vince, you want to re-say what you said about like the next challenge and how you felt about leaving this distro?
Clearly, if we aren't in a monthly challenge period, I will never have left openSUSE Tumbleweed. For me, it's stable, fresh package, sure with snapshot, efficient even in gaming. Why left it?
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. Yeah, I think I will put it just be like if you okay. So let's do something crazy, just for us. I don't want you to give us the number, okay? But would you put this distro in your top 1, top 3, or top 5? You don't. If you want to give it to us, that's okay. If you don't want to, you can just put it, where you think it actually like stay.
For me, it's in the top 3, I'm sure. I have Debian in my heart too.
Yeah.
For me, stable plus backport plus Flatpak is the key of a perfect desktop. But for me, it's in the top 2.
Top 2. Wow. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Well, so now today. Yeah. yeah. Makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. I think it would be. I would say top 3, and I will put it in number 3. And I don't want you to give us anything. Like if you're comfortable about it, because I don't want to force you to do anything. But me, I will still put Arch number 1. Actually, maybe I will put openSUSE number 2. I will put Arch number 1, openSUSE number 2, and Gen 2 number 3. Gen 2,
okay.
Because I'm a sadomasochist, and I like when my computer like compiles stuff. But yeah, it will be my top 3 for desktop. Okay. Yeah. So really good distro, guys. Like really good distro. So if you had to sell it to someone, who would be the typical like user who you will try to target for this distro? You think it would be like a wild type of like user, or would be like already like a narrow type of focus? Like what would it be like?
For me, it's for all, but maybe not.
I know what you're gonna say.
All except DaVinci Resolve user and maybe some laptop NVIDIA user. But for the other one, all.
Yeah, I'm with you on this one. It's definitively like a really wide, I would say like distro. You could propose it from really like someone who is beginning to. Obviously, in terms of like age inside the open source world and Linux, a new user won't be lost in this distro. That's how I feel, because it's super clean. You have access to the GUI, especially if you are using AMG. Because your experience was great. So I know you're not a user, that's not what I meant. But what I meant is like, if you don't have to do the hassle of installing the NVIDIA driver, it just go with the flow, right?
Yeah. Yes. And for me, if you are an NVIDIA user, keep looking the Air Max channel.
Yeah, definitely. That's right. But yeah, that's the main idea. Like, it's super good. And on the other hand, if you are an advanced one, you have still the fresh packet. You have all those tools you can play with. You might be limited by zipper, but in fact you are not. It's just me who are like a little bit too touchy here, I guess. but you have a really solid distro with performance and everything else. So is it the best, distro for desktop right now? I will place it number 2. So it's not far from best. That's all I have to say. So if you want to add something,
me too.
Yeah, you too.
No.
So that's
just like you can say, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe at the Max channel.
yeah, that's a good one. Good way to close it. Don't forget to subscribe.
I think for openSUSE we have said all. It's nearly perfect, and
yeah, I think I will encourage everyone to really try it, because if you are on Windows right now and you are tired of those pop-up of those crazy updates which are like totally unmanageable, and if you want a game, maybe it's time to try it. And I would say Linux Mint was really good for a new user, but this one is also really good because if you are able to install it and pass through, like make the jump to Linux and stay on this one, you might stay on this distribution for life.
Yeah.
Like
you said, stop playing Candy Crush on Windows and go on Chameleon.
Exactly.
Distribution.
Stop Candy Crush Saga, guys. Like we move right away to the real desktop experience. But yeah, that's all they need, like more user, and it's gonna go with the flow.
Yep.
So Vince, thank you very much for participating, giving your perspective there. I know it's not easy in English.
Yeah, thanks.
So I really appreciate your effort here. And if you are down in the future for the next challenge, you're more than welcome to do that again in English.
Okay, super.
Okay.
Okay.
And I really appreciate you making the effort. Guys, thank you very much for watching. And as Vince said, if you like the video, if you got any type of entertainment out of it, I really appreciate like a thumbs up, subscribe. If you want to support the channel financially, we have a Patreon, YouTube membership. Yeah, I can cut that. Thank you very much. Have a great rest of your day, and bisous bisous.
Bye bye.
Okay.
Bisous bisous.